Good Tuesday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel that talks about all my cars and trucks and SUVs and motorcycles and the dog, the barn, the pool, the camper, the attitudes, and Ginger. Yep, there he is, just wound up, the camper. Hey, Tuesday morning there, folks, that tune in my channel and watch me on a daily basis. Hope you're having a blessed day. And what matters today in your life? And I thought to myself this morning, what better conversation than matter? Matter is actually mass and volume, or an object. If you took science, you know that the understanding of what matter is. And everything around us, especially these physical objects in front of me, are matter. But I thought, boy, oh boy, if that word isn't the perfect word for where we are in today's society and where we are in this country of what matters the most. What matters the most in the agendas, the social media. What is the main theme besides Donald Trump? Hey, here's the fiasco, the pool. So now, in hindsight, by me cutting this piece to put this pool together, I have made a huge mistake. Because when the pool filled up, the matter increased by volume and size, and in the end, it broke this fitting here, and now I have a never-ending leak here because it's just all Murphy's Law, because I tore the pool. So the question's going to be, how radical does this get? You know, so yeah, this pool here, I can't see. I think it's going to just be a never-ending problem. This is going to be a mud pit here. What a joke. Oh, well, I mean, the pool, to a degree, will be usable, but I can already tell the challenge would be that you have to have the water level up to a certain height for the water pump to work. But I'm already seeing that tear that I cut into by accident is going to be an ongoing problem. And does the tear grow? That'll be the real question, as I just now create the backyard havoc like never seen. Probably should move this over to the right to capture that water where it's all leaking so much, I guess. I think it'd just be an never-ending problem, personally. Oh well, what a shame, what a bummer. But it is what it is. Yeah, so I think what'll probably happen once you get in the pool and play with it, it'll probably just come apart. This would be the perfect video. So like, this here is broken. This is just a total wave getting probably ready to happen. So it would be cool if I had cameras back here and you can see us in the pool as we get washed out and float down the property. I mean, sincerely, this will probably happen. This pool will probably just rip in half, and all that water I just bought will go poof right down. Oh my God. Oh, it doesn't end. It just doesn't. I mean, these stories in life, it just is so challenging sometimes. The aggravation, yeah, it is. And how do you handle it? You know, that's the thing about what matters in life to you. I mean, sincerely, what's going on in your life that matters to you? And that's the thing, that us individuals, we all get fixated on our own matter, and it's a broken record of what you think is so important to you. As you can tell, look at my driveway. What matters to me? Owning way too many cars and trucks and motorcycles and toys is what matters to me. And that's challenging because it creates a lot of other things besides the happiness. As you know, as Kiefer here loves to harass little Ginger, and so that's just the never-ending. You know, what is it? I sometimes think he's jealous because that little Ginger girl is like my little baby girl, and part of me is like, he doesn't like, you know, he wants me to favor him. No, Keith, not only is it the dominance, but I think that he wants me to favor him, and he wants me to be the number one dog. Hey, stop it. So it just doesn't end. Yeah, that pool from last night, it's gotten a lot worse. So I really think that pool just probably will, at some point, just cave. And there won't be any pool for summertime, which that kind of sucks because I like the pool. I like to go jump in the pool and cool down during the hot days. So what a bummer. And it all started with me not being able to get that pool put together and getting creative and cutting that piece, which was a huge mistake. So it's all my fault, and isn't that the way life is? Can you accept your faults, the things that you've done? Does it matter that much that you fight to prove that your matter is more right versus wrong? And that's why I thought this morning, what a great conversation, because yesterday the Supreme Court of the United States gave Donald Trump immunity under his presidency for actions that the Democratic Party wants to get started another, whole process of trying to get rid of Donald Trump. It's incredible how you just have to really scratch your head that, I know most people understand what's going on. They really do understand that, the Donald Trump doesn't support the Democratic, liberal-minded person to their agendas, ideology, so he pisses the crap out of them. And since he pisses the shit out of them, they don't like him. They want to get rid of him. So, but the downside is, for us conservative-minded people, once Donald Trump gets eliminated and another guy comes along, it'll be the same story. They'll just do whatever they can to eliminate the guy. And I know people that are liberal-minded who watch my channel don't think a lot do, but if you do, I'm sure they'll say, yeah, but your party did the same thing to our party. No, I don't agree with that. It's not as radical. Conservatives are a bunch of pussies. These freaking Republicans, they're a bunch of pussies. They don't freaking go after the Democrats like the Democrats go after. I've always just said this. I give Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Adam Schiff, Jerry Nader, whatever his freaking name is, Obama. I go through the list of all the Democratic-minded people that will fight like crazy to prove that they get what they want, and they're just like piranhas, and they just won't give up. Conservatives, they're just not like that. Their mind doesn't work that way, so they just cave and give up. So for the Democratic Party, you have the stronger-minded individuals that'll go full-blown out to get things done that they think that matters. That's the whole point. Why does this matter this morning? Because Donald Trump has had a huge victory for him to continue his push to be the GOP nominee, to be the next president, to be reelected again, because of what the SCOTUS, Supreme Court of the United States, the justices sided with the immunity of a sitting president. You can't tarnish him and punish him under his presidency of things that played out. It's all about the January 6th Capitol Hill. How one party looks at it one way, another party looks at it a different way. And it's a total division of our country. So why does it matter? Once again, why does it matter? Because it advances Trump to continue his legitimacy to be able to run for president, not be sitting in jail, per se. But then you got the Stormy Daniels. Yeah, it's all this blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing, and very interesting, if you've ever heard of the Chevron deference, DEFERENCE, it's a 40-year EPA governing EPA law that the Supreme Court just shot down. This is huge. For all us Ice Age lovers, the Supreme Court, if you're a Donald Trump, a conservative, the Supreme Court is actually doing a lot of things on our favoritism just here in the last day. They're basically starting to take sides of just more common sense. So this Chevron bill that was written 40 years ago gave EPA the right to write law of the Clean Air Act, like what Joe Biden has. And so basically it's saying the government can tell you and I what we can and can't do. Guess what? Supreme Court just said, no, you can't do that. You got to come back to us to see what you're saying is actually acceptable and right versus wrong. This is huge. So for those out there, if we had Donald Trump come back into office, the reality of him having the rights and the will behind him to really slow down this green agenda BS that's going on to this going on this Biden administration, it could happen even more, because that Chevron deference bill is now being shut down and taking away the rights of EPA and the federal government of what they can start mandating on tailpipe emissions, what they can start mandating on what manufacturers have to abide by their so-called rules and regulations for the green agenda. This is huge news. But, you're not going to hear much about this because it's not to Joe Biden's favor. It's not to the green agenda's favor. They're not going to like this conversation. And for all the investors that are out there investing heavily into the green agenda, renewable energies, they're not going to like to hear this conversation either. Because for the next sitting president could truly roll back and slow down a lot of this bullcrap that's going on under this just one term Joe Biden presidency that's been radical beyond radical of trying to advance the green agenda like never before. And it's such that malarkey would be called the Inflation Reduction Act. It's the worst. Inflation Reduction Act. And if you're that incompetent to believe that this guy created the Inflation Reduction Act, you're stupid. You are. I'm just going to tell you straight up. I'd tell you face to face. You're incompetent. So I wouldn't say you're stupid face to face. I'd say you're incompetent, because the Inflation Reduction Act is all about the green agenda, which is the most expensive advance of mankind's lifestyle in modern times. From all the energy, from the food, the housing, air conditioners, refrigerators, appliances, cars, airplanes, boats. I mean, go through every item that is around us, and it's all attached to this Inflation Reduction Act of the green agenda, advancing very strict guidelines and policies for the future of mankind's better to do for Mother Nature Earth. As there's a major hurricane coming into Jamaica, and people will say it's all because of global warming. Yeah, it's all because of mankind. I think sadly what people don't maybe accept is there's too many people on the earth. Is maybe that's just a problem. Maybe mankind, forget the cars, forget all this other stuff. There's just too many people. I mean, I think that's yeah, whatever. Who knows? So here's a funny thing from Mr. Uncle Sanchez. That's what he called himself the other day in my comments. Mr. Sanchez says that, hey man, and I love this stuff. I do. I love these comments that come from my viewers, because it just shares with me and shows me that they listen to my channel, and I get a kick out of that, because he goes, oh, wait a second. So the baddest ass, vehicles, the baddest ass motorcycles, it just seems like the Indian was like the baddest ass motorcycle. But then it went to the Honda, that those are the baddest ass motorcycles you own. But now it's going back to the Harley. I mean, that is so funny. I mean, I think it's funny. And he's like, yeah, man. So last year, the year before it was Indian. Then I went the next year to Honda. And now it's gone to Harley. I'm like, yeah, right. Yeah. It's just like, Chevy. Hey, Dodge is, the baddest ass car you can get. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, now I got Chevy sitting in my garage. And I'm even heavy hat today, if you look. So, funny. So, what matters to us? If you're really a YouTube subscriber to my channel, I think what matters to us is the fun and love of these ICE vehicles, these internal combustion engine age vehicles that we all just love. If you watch my video of the riding this Harley with that 360 Insta camera, you really just hear the engine, the noise, the gurgle, the pop. It's such a badass bike. If you listen to me ride around these cars, it's the same thing. It's that engine, that rumble. You just don't get that out of the EV8. So what matters to us Ice Age people is we have the love of these piston-driven motors that take fuel, that take petrol to run, and they emit this beautiful song out of the back of their end, unlike humans. And it's just like, wow. And it gives you such an emotional rush when you drive down the road with that frickin' vehicle. Sound like a race car or a race bike. Or just a rumble. You can feel it come through the seat of your pants. It even hits your eardrums. It even hits your eyes. It's just such an incredible experience. Until you go to a NHRA drag strip and you watch the Top Fuel and you're in the stands and you feel those things take off and shake the whole stadium, you don't understand that NHRA love at the racetracks. For John Force, who got in a really bad accident down there at the down there in Virginia, in the NHR, June 23rd, that he slammed the wall. He was able to get out after his engine blew out. Well, apparently, he's been in pretty bad shape. I was reading an article this morning about how he's just now getting his cognitive skills back, able to kind of talk, recognize people. So he got really banged up. It didn't look like that because he climbed out of his Chevy that was on fire. And, he boarded it. He got out of that cockpit as fast as possible. So he never known that he was severely injured, but he was. And he's in slow recovery. But the good news is he seems to be recovering. And on TV, he looks like a big, tall guy. And I always thought that. But I went to the Thunder Valley NHRA in June 2 years ago, I was blown away how he's not that tall. He's kind of a short guy. But that kind of goes with racing. If you look at racers, especially like in the drag racing, they're being a certain size can play to your advantage because of your weight, your stature, the way you sit inside a vehicle. So being a big guy isn't to your advantage if you're an IndyCar racer. If you're a 6'6" guy, 6'8", people correct me on this, but that's a big guy. To be in those cars, I don't think you're gonna fit. Look at horse jockeys; those guys are small people for the weight of the horse and their athletic capability. Bigger people. It's not as easy. You see how America got eliminated from Uruguay yesterday in Orlando. I've been watching the soccer football league world tour, and it's pretty cool to watch. What a shame that America couldn't pull it out down there in Orlando, Florida. They got eliminated last night 1-0 in such a debatable violation when they did Uruguay did a kick against the goal for a penalty, and they're all lined up, and as he kicks the ball, he's running towards the goal, and you have to say it's so fine a line on how they were possibly across the line before they're supposed to be, and they scored on them. So they even did a review, but they didn't reverse it. But it sure looked like a foul. But anyways, United States, they didn't really, to me, they were good, but they weren't good enough. So if that matters to you, you're very disappointed today. And who doesn't know that feeling when you have your favorite sports team, you have your favorite car driver, motorcyclist, whatever it may be, and they lose. And you just have a real psychological attachment to that, and it's aggravating. Sports, football, baseball. This one I did this morning. I thought to myself, it's kind of interesting on the YouTube malarkey. So what I did this morning is I pulled up my my YouTube, and here we go. So I want to share with you what's going on with Michael Bordenero. So here's how we know massive economic downturn is already here. 71,000 views. Here's the hurricane. That's not comforting. That's going to probably come up through the west. May come up through the Gulf. Could be into Florida. I don't know yet. Here is landlords are on the edge. This was posted 2 days ago. So I guess the landlords are getting ready to lose out their properties because they can't collect rent because of all these laws. Let's see here. Las Vegas is, I didn't know this. Las Vegas has become hell. So he's saying you walk around the streets of Las Vegas and it's just, it's really bad. It looks like you're living in the dire straits of these inner cities. Then you got here Warren Buffett saying don't sell your stocks. You don't need to sell your stocks because he's had a lot of money tied up in them. This guy says most people will lose everything. Most people lose everything. This guy here is talking about selling his house. The used car market update, everything's, is continuing to downward spiral. Target is out of money. People have stopped paying their bills. Here's why. 237,000 views from this guy. Imminent default. 168,000 views. Floor collapse just got worse. So what matters? What matters here on the YouTube channel, when I look into my YouTube, it's done. This guy has a video all the time that it's done. The economy is collapsing and the car market is screaming it. So what matters to these YouTubers, every day they post what matters most to them is telling you that the world has come to an end. But I ask over and over again, those that watch my channel, can you share personal stories in your neighborhood, in your town, in your county, your state? Can you share with me where you know of people that are literally have gone broke and lost everything? Or it's too early because the way the laws are written to protect you is a citizen. Every state has different laws. If you quit paying for your house, because for the most people, if we look at what matters most in our life, I think that number one thing you're going to say is, well, myself. If you don't say that, then you may have some problems. So I think the matter of us looking of how we get going in life is your well-being of who you are. And then your focus is then, what are you going to do to be able to be self-sufficient and independent to be able to survive on your own? So I think that's the next thing. And then once you kind of grasp that, you kind of, I think, have what matters is who's going to be with you in your life. Who's going to be your partner in life. I think God all the time is what matters. I think that if you're brought up in a religious family and you were brought into the Bible, I think you're always going to have that in the background of what matters most, of your well-being, of living a life that hopefully at the end you've lived it the way that the Lord asked you to live it, to be accepted into a heaven. And then I think to myself, what matters as you progress is, well, you want to be able to have a shelter. You want to be able to have your own house, townhouse, apartment, condo, single family home, whatever it may be. So that matters to you because of you working to try to create wealth to be able to afford that independence. And then, of course, what always matters is your health and the well-being of what you eat and drink. And so those are the basics, I think. I think that's the basic foundation of who we are in life that evolves to then the family, your relationship, a partner, and you bring someone else into this world. And what matters most is that person that you now brought into this world. Who doesn't know that story of being a parent, and what matters most is your child. And so there's another thing. But then as we progress, I think what matters more is what we feel is right versus wrong. And that's where I think more than ever, due to the social media machine, the most ever in our lifetime of you being able to go on your phone, your iPad, the computer, and you can interact with the social world, and you can see the different personalities and the different views and thoughts of what others think matters. And what seems to be incredible, we live in a country right now that the main dominance of what matters. It's more than ever the re-election of Joe Biden. If you really get on social media and you get on the news networks, it's all the focal point is Joe Biden going to stay to be the nominee for the DNC? And is he going to be the next, is he going to be continue to be looked at as the nominee for the presidential election, which there's a lot of debate. I love it how Mark responded last evening to my yesterday's channel on how nobody talks about how the blank stare in Joe Biden's face throughout debate was all about him having an earpiece, listening to what he was being told to say. It was so obvious. I mean, don't you see that? Why does anybody talk about this stuff? The reason they don't talk about it, because it's the factual things. And the liberal media want to talk about this guy that's the biggest muppet of ever in presidency because of technology, with Obama behind the scenes and the whole Valerie Jarrett. You can go through the whole list, the whole clan of people that are behind Joe Biden that are running his daily activities, his social media presence, his conversations, earpieces in his ears of what to say and not to say. And that's all that was throughout debate. That wasn't Joe Biden. That was not Joe Biden debating. It was an earpiece debating from whoever was behind the mic and somewhere in the back room telling him what to say. And so that's why he had that dumbfounded look on his face of being incompetent, because we know that. So for what matters most right now this year, it's the whole focal point of who's going to be the next guy sitting in office to progress the country or not to progress the country. But now what's incredible is if you look at the YouTubers that I just showed you under this Joe Biden administration, there's the biggest doom and gloom predictors ever in modern times. I mean, sincerely, if you really look at the YouTube content I just showed you, what matters most to all these YouTubers is being the prophet of telling you what's going to play out in the near future. And they're telling every one of us that the dire straits are here like never seen. And it's going to be an implosion like never ever seen. It's going to be worse than 2008 and 9. That's the conversation that you're hearing. And for us, just looking around what's going on, you can so much feel that that's probably a good possibility, because the sitting administration Their matter. What is this city administration's matter? The green agenda. I talked about the Inflation Reduction Act. The green agenda is the number one priority of this city administration. The next is the war machine. Talked about this yesterday in great length. We are in two wars in this world, with us funding the wars and providing all the ammunition and technology and military support to two separate wars. So we're a war machine. So that matters most to this city administration. The next thing that matters most is the illegal immigration. This city administration wants to see the biggest influx of illegal immigrants come to our country and then give them the rights to vote. Give them federal ID voting capabilities, not state, but you know as well as I do. If that really does play out, do you really think Joe Biden is eliminated or reelected? What do you think? Do you really think that Donald Trump will be elected when all of a sudden you have these millions and millions and millions and millions of illegals that love Joe Biden because what matters to them, they've been told to come to our country and they are going to be rewarded through our tax system to take care of them for all their health issues, for all their roof and food, shelter. There's so many things that are being told throughout the world that Joe Biden will take care of you if you come to our country illegally. They won't kick you out, and they'll bring you they'll bring you in, and they'll cuddle you, and they'll take good care of you. So what matters most is that for the Joe Biden administration, they're gathering more and more votes to make it so that they can win another election and advance all of their, in my views and others, radical ideology, radical views, trying to change the makeup of this country. Remember, a guy that used to be in power said, when I'm done with this country, you won't recognize it. And I think that we're all can sincerely say, maybe you don't want to admit to it, but it's changing in front of our eyes. But once again, I think a lot of people are like, you're full of it, Mr. Iceman. That's fine. I can take opposing views, whatever. It's just a YouTube channel. It's just me sharing my ideas. But here's what's really interesting is, read a great article that in New York City, the amount of people moving into New York City is massive, but the amount of homes, apartments, basically being built is minuscule. It isn't happening. And I say to myself, very interesting how this article went through so much detail over the last 10, 20 years of what's been going on in New York City. And then from the pandemic of the total vacancy of so much office space from the remote working. And it talks in great length about the challenges that they're not building enough apartments for the growth of the city. And I think to myself, I didn't see one bit of information on that about how the state of New York, I believe, has rewritten law that if you're a landlord of an apartment building, you are controlled by the state of how you can let people live there or not live there. And I'm not that real estate savvy a guy to know all that language, but very interesting, that whole article, they're not investing. So the guys are not building out big apartments. They're not taking these abandoned office space and converting them as quickly as so many think they should into livable quarters to be condos and apartments. But on the apartment side, I think to myself, where's the conversation? I swear New York passed very strict laws that protect the tenant, the renter, from being evicted from their occupying space from the landlord. And it's very challenging as a landlord to get rid of people who don't pay your rent. I mean, do you remember these stories? And what matters to you most if you're a guy that owns an apartment building, besides collecting rent every month to pay the way and to be able to keep the building, which we've heard many stories of a lot of businesses, a lot of commercial real estate are raising their hand and they're letting go these really expensive properties that used to be the number one thing that drove and mattered to investors was these high-line office buildings and apartment buildings. But that whole mentality has changed because the dynamics of what happened in the pandemic and what happened from the states making very strict laws that went after landlords and not letting them raise their rents. So to offset inflation and everything else. I'm sure George P. out there in Las Vegas could probably give me more in-depth information on that, because he owns an apartment complex And he probably knows this language a lot better than me. And that's what's great. A lot of you out there that know something better than me, you'll reach out and say, hey, by the way, this is, what you do or you don't do. And this is what happens or doesn't happen. And so as always, if you look at my collection of vehicles and everything I have, what matters to me the most, as you can see, is having lots of toys, too many toys, and the ongoing challenges for me, how I continue to manage to have all this matter, all this volume, all this mass, which once again, the definition of matter in science is, it's an object, it's a volume, it's mass, and that's what mankind has created. Think how much matter has been created by mankind. If you ever just step back and just look at mankind and all the buildings and all the cars and all the houses and all the paved roads, it's just beyond believable of what mankind has taken from Mother Nature, Earth, of this world, and created all this matter. I mean, what is the volume and the mass of mankind's things that we created? I wonder what the number is. Is it the trillion? What goes, for the scientist, the mathematician, what goes beyond the trillion? What is the trillion? Go to a trillion. Just to count to a trillion would take you, I think, your whole lifetime or something like that. But it's something else that I'm not the mathematician, scientist, but there's got to be that number. So I wonder if anybody could ever take a number and start calculating for everything that's been built. And here's the thing, with all today's technology, the satellites in the sky and everything else, you have to, sit back and wonder, would that be able to, with artificial intelligence, be able to look at a house and then factor a weight at a tonnage and a car? And so here's what's interesting. So now in Cuba, satellite images are starting to show Russia military encampments. Are you hearing this? This is very concerning. I've said this numerous times over the last few days, and I really haven't heard anybody on my channel respond to this. Joe Biden, I'm telling you, Joe Biden, somebody has to rewind that debate. Joe Biden worded, we are going to be in a war. He didn't say exactly that way, but the way he said it, he implied we will be in war. So when you hear about satellite images now shown in Cuba, Russia's setting up a base in Cuba, I mean, I get it. Everybody, I'm sure most people here say, well, Russia just doesn't have what we have. Okay. But at the same time, once you go to a war, a lot of things can happen that you don't think will happen. I mean, can you even imagine if you're a Palestinian a year ago? Would you even imagine that all of a sudden your country was decimated? I mean, sincerely? Could you even imagine? Do you have people over there in dire straits? Are you going to see that in the regular news today? No. You're going to see in how the immunity for Donald Trump is the most important conversation of the day today, because the liberals are pissed as shit that Donald Trump, yet again, has escaped another put me in prison, to lock me up because you don't like me, because, and I get it. I'm not here to say that Donald Trump's the answer to our country, but it's the whole point of what matters to the Democratic Party is eliminating Donald Trump. That's all it's about. That's the main theme. That's all it's about. And then on X, this is very interesting on Elon Musk. What is he doing? There's this guy named Harry Sisson, a young guy. I'd say he's probably 18 to 20 years old, and he runs his mouth all day long on X. And he's a total Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, total liberal-minded. But, these guys on X, there's a lot of stories that people present themselves one way because they get so much attention and make money off of their content, when in some ways they're not really radically that way, but they do it just to make money. But this kid here, yesterday, they have a screenshot of him making a comment yesterday that Joe Biden needs to go see the Supreme Court and basically eliminate the Supreme Court in Donald Trump. He needs to bring in the forces. Did you just hear what I said? I mean, on my YouTube channel, I can tell you straight up, if I made a comment like that came from me directly, that I made these comments, this would probably be a strike against me, and you wouldn't see me for 30 days. But anyways, this is on X, and a lot of people on X are screaming bloody murder. This guy just made a threat to the SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States Justices, and to Donald Trump, to eliminate them through forces, through military forces. And so what people are scratching their head about is, why hasn't Elon Musk put this guy in 30-day suspension or even terminated his account? But I think that Elon Musk, I give him credit, because I think Elon Musk is wanting to show what matters most. And what matters most, I think, to Elon Musk is, I want to show you the true personalities of what are going to start to play out when things don't go their way. Because that's all we've heard now for close to 4 years is the conservatives, shut the hell up. We got a guy, Joe Biden, in office, and just shut the hell up. Deal with it. And, you know, you guys are violent. But yet you turn the tables, what starts to play out? And so yesterday, we saw what started to play out. A lot of personalities started getting very aggressive for that ruling by the Supreme Court. AOC, she's gonna try to have impeachment of Supreme Court justices. She's gonna try to get some movement to remove sitting justices because of their ruling of immunity of a sitting president at that time that was under still in office and witnessed the January 6th events, which that's so debatable on how that all played out. It's a rabbit hole. I'm not gonna go down there. But once again, what matters most is now the movement forward. Here we are in July, and can you even imagine where's it all going? I think this November, oh my gosh, wow. I say November, man, woo. What matters most? What matters most to you, right? That's it. I'm going to quit talking. I'm going to go take care of business and take care of other things and all the challenges in life. The wife left for Tennessee. I mean, I'm not lying. This morning, she came over the camper because my kid drove the Grand Wagoneer yesterday to take care of some business for me. And she left the keys in her pocket. My daughter does all the time. She drives the car, puts the keys in the pocket, then they're in her bedroom. So the wife is literally backing her Jeep up to the camper this morning. I look out my window, I'm like, what the heck's going on with the wife? So I get up and get out. And she's like, I'm going to Tennessee. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. Well, I said the other day, you said you were thinking about it, but you didn't know we were going to leave. So he's like, well, I want to drive the Grand Wagoneer. I'm like, we'll take it. She's like, I can't find the key. So then I get the kid up. This is early this morning. Get the kid up. I'm like, hey, you got to go get the freaking key. So the kid went over, got the Jeep key, transferred all my wife's gear into the Wagoneer. The wife loves that Jeep Grand Wagoneer. For the record, the wife loves those Jeeps. I ever get rid of those? Why be in a doghouse? I ain't doing that. So, and here's the thing. If you really watch my channel, typically we would be going to Tennessee too. But now we probably wouldn't leave till tomorrow. I mean, and to a degree, I probably still could if I really wanted to. I don't know. I don't know if I'm up for that because we just got back from that Tennessee trip, man. It was just, I don't know. It's debatable. But I'm so bummed because I think my pool, I think that tear is going to just continue to go down that seam. Yeah, you'll probably see a video of that at some point when we get in the pool and the pool just obliterates. Yeah, the matter, all the matter, the mass, the volume, it just all goes down to the creek, into the pond of my property. Wow. All right, everybody, that's it. I'm going to shut up. And kind of a political conversation, but I don't care. I don't care. If my YouTube channel isn't some big nationwide known YouTube channel, like I just showed you all of those guys, one of my subscribers, the help desk, I think, reached out. And he's like, why don't you just start making all these gloomer doomer videos every day and see if your channel grows? I'm like, yeah, I mean, there's nothing to lose from that idea. Just start preaching, everything's over, everything's over. I mean, but I'm just telling you, there's a trick to what these guys are doing, so it just doesn't work that easily. I got to buy subscribers. You got to do a lot of things behind the scenes. These guys, I think, probably have, they just have other individuals behind the scenes you don't know about that know how to do this stuff that I just don't know how to do it, and I guess that's probably the real answer. So, whatever. What matters to me, right? To have some fun. So, everybody have a great day. God bless. Stay safe.